Yes, and welcome to Peace, Love Nation, the podcast where we explore how love, kindness, gratitude, and compassion can help transform your life and the world around you. And especially today, I'm really excited because I want to welcome a very special guest, doing incredible work here with kindness and teaching and educating about emotional well-being. Our guest is Dido Balla. He's an educator, an international speaker, nonprofit founder, and the CEO of Kindness Matters. And I met you a little bit a while ago at an event as well, and I was very impressed with the organization. It's an honor to have you at the Peace Love Nation. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I can't wait.
So actually, I wanted to start by getting to know you a little bit. So if you could talk a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to dedicate your life to the life of kindness, sort of the combination of kindness, emotional well-being, and youth education, and working with the youth.
Yeah, of course. So for me, it's not one of those stories where I always knew what I wanted to do. In fact, I have a memory of my dad asking me as a kid, "What do you want to do when you want to grow up?" And I was like, "I don't know. I have no idea." And he insisted so much that I made it a mission of mine to find an answer. So I watched many movies, and I had just watched a movie about a lawyer who never lost any case, and it just looked cool. It was Keanu Reeves. And the next time my dad asked me what I want to do, I said I want to be a lawyer, just because the movie sounded really cool. And that means that for me, I never really knew. I just followed my path in the sense of following my gut instinct. So when I got to college, I knew I did not like math because I was not good at math. And so I figured, what can I choose that is not math or that is not science? And that's how I kind of chose my major. So for me, it's been a journey of just following the way I feel and what feels right, what feels wrong. So I'm from Cameroon initially. That's in West Africa geographically, but it's in Central Africa economically. Whole different conversation. But when I moved to the U.S. in 2008, I graduated from college in Washington State, and then moved to Florida to be a teacher. I was supposed to teach for only 2 years, and back then it was very important for every single teacher to learn how to understand the biggest test that the kids were taking every single year, which was called the FCAT. So I was told, your only goal is to make sure these kids can pass the FCAT. Now, I taught kids who had just moved to this country. Many didn't even speak English. And so having to watch them try to adapt into a new culture, a new country, a new educational system, a new language, and all the struggles they had, the last thing that made sense to me was ignore all those things and yet focus on teaching them how to pass a test. So I just knew the right thing to do was to teach them how to be compassionate, caring human beings. It just made sense to me. And the more I did that, the more I felt that the vibe in the classroom changed, which then led to better results academically as well. So that's kind of how I fell into this world of seeing that as an adult in front of kids every single day. If I create a safe space where they can feel themselves and
relate to
be
each other,
kids.
relate to each other too.
Yeah, be kids and relate to each other, not just as students in a classroom who want to pass a test, but as human beings who are the same age. I just noticed that the more I did that, the happier they felt, the happier I felt, and the better they performed. So that's kind of how I got into that. It was a little random. And as I did that work, a good friend of mine just approached me one day, and he would always observe our classrooms when he was I had a planning period, and I do the same. And he once just asked me if I knew what the word mindfulness meant. And I said, I don't know what that is. He said, the things you do in your classroom look like mindfulness.
Right.
And that's how I got into, I took a deep dive into mindfulness. And from then, emotional well-being, kindness, and I just never stopped.
I got to tell you, in this system, it's bold and courageous for you to sort of approach that so differently, because how did your colleagues take that?
So my colleagues didn't really care because they were all busy trying to just like not get in trouble. But
Right.
my administration is who I needed to worry about, because back then we had this thing that they called bell-to-bell instruction, which meant that from, say, if class starts at 7:20 and a period lasts an hour, for example, from 7:20 to 8:20, there's a plan on the board that says exactly what you and the students are supposed to be doing every single second. And if you have a principal who walks in your classroom to observe you, they should see what time it is, look at the plan, and see you doing it. Now, obviously, at no point in this plan was there 3 minutes of kindness towards each other. And yet I did that, right? I would just tell the kids, let's just say something nice about her. That's how I started. They were like, really, Mr. Ball? I'm like, yes, go ahead. I like your glasses. I like your hair. And it was funny at first, but I'm telling you, I didn't stop. And those kids started to beg for those moments.
That's
And
great.
so what I had to do is play the game, which is how can I be compliant enough to be left alone to do what I know is the right thing? And how can I also still have good results?
Oh, that's
So
brilliant.
that was the plan, right? So how can I hide that I'm doing all this kindness business in my classroom? However, still make sure that I leverage what I can create as a classroom environment to have good results. And when I got the results, then I was left alone.
And was that a defining moment in your life um, where you realized that kindness actually created this transformation?
Of
Mm.
course. So there were two layers, two levels to it. So first, just my intuition, right? Because who told me to teach kindness? No one. I just felt we need some laughter, some joy in this classroom. So I had my own results that way. But then I got into a master's program, right? So it was a master's of science in education. And I learned about how the brain works when you're learning. And I learned about the impact that the the colors of the wall have on your brain when you learn, the impact that the background music, if you have any, play, the impact that laughing, kindness have on the brain. So once I realized that my intuition was one thing, but there was science that showed that if you were happy, kind, joyful, it was actually easier to learn. Now, I mean, that changed everything for me because I was
Mhm.
convinced by then that there was evidence that treating kids with kindness, treating ourselves with kindness, and centering that in
Right.
education was the way.
And what did you see in science that led you to believe that kindness had an effect on our brain and our body? Like, what does it do to us?
It's super simple. So let's just try something, right? So let's say I have a task for you that I want you to do. And the task is supposed to start at 10 o'clock. Now, from when you wake up, at what time do you wake up?
Me, I wake up usually at 5.
5.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really early. So from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock, that's how many hours? 5 hours. A lot can happen between then and the 10 o'clock.
Yes.
So depending on what happens, your brain might be in a place where it's already either very peaceful or very triggered, right? Depending on what you do in the morning, right? You
We're
if you
tired. We're
if you are
tired.
tired, if you didn't sleep enough, right? If you start watching the news, and
Right.
of course, as you watch the news, it's rarely breaking news, good news. It's
Right.
often breaking news, bad news.
Right.
Then you grab your cell phone. So those 5 hours already get your brain in a place where you're already stressed and anxious. And then so on your drive to the task or to the podcast, somebody cuts you off in traffic, you aren't exactly screaming happiness and calm.
Right.
So by the time you get to me at 10 o'clock, your brain has been wired and trained and primed to scan the world for all the things that are stressful, that brings anxiety, and that makes you fearful, and you're in defense mode. That's natural for your brain.
Right.
Now imagine coming here to this task with a brain like that, and I just tell you, open your book to page 13 and solve me some problems. Well, obviously your brain right there is going to be like, what's happening here?
Right.
So what I always say is like, land the plane first.
Right.
And how do you land the plane is with kindness, because we do
Okay.
things as simple as, thank you for being here. The first thing I want you to do is grab your cell phone and think about 2025. Find the two pictures that bring the most joy for
That's
you.
great. I love that.
And the second you do that, you see your body just relax a little bit. When I was
Right.
talking about like people cutting you off in traffic, you were a little tense. Now I say find a picture of that brings joy. Just doing that brings your brain back to a place of, now I'm looking for joy because you gave a task.
That's a
So
great
you go
technique.
through your phone, you're forcing your brain to look for something positive. And once you find that picture of your dog or your significant other or a trip, then you remember why you felt that way, why it brings joy. Then I
Mhm.
ask you to tell somebody about it and not having to share that. You see, your brain went from triggered and anxious and upset and fearful, to slowly focusing back on how do I treat myself with kindness, because that's a joyful picture and image. So if you could look at somebody's brain from the person who just watched the news and got all the breaking news that were negative to the
Mhm.
one who had just shared a picture of something that brings joy, the one with the joyful brain can learn better.
We have so many things that are interrupting our day all day long. How do you keep up that level of kindness consistently, or that that ability to do stress, anxiety with kindness?
Well, there are a couple of things to it. The first thing is there's nobody here who's always kind and happy and excited. That's just
Right.
not a real thing, right? Let's just like get that out of the way, right? So yes, we are kindness matters. And you will see on our social media that we even have 365, right? So kindness matters every single day. Yes. However, what we're not saying is that any human being is supposed to have just one emotion all day, every day. That's just not possible. That's the first thing. So if you're somebody who's listening and you find yourself not feeling kind every now and then, there's nothing wrong with you. Step number one. Number two, it's like everything, it's work. Like when I learned about the science of of the plasticity of the brain, that also was a pivotal moment in my career, because I realized that we need to treat kindness and optimism and gratitude the same way we treat learning any other skill. Any other
Absolutely.
skill. You aren't just like gonna stumble up on it and then be great at it. You've
Right.
got to practice, practice. Even when you don't feel like it, practice, practice. And the cool thing is you are literally rewiring and changing your brain. So somebody with a lot of practice can now just find the gratitude faster, more easily than someone who does not have the practice. So I have lots of tools I can share if and when the time comes, but the most important thing to know is that it's work. It takes practice, just like everything, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Absolutely. It's so well said. So for people, my listeners who don't totally understand, are not familiar with social emotional learning, and why it's so important, as you said, to practice it for emotional and mental well-being.
Mhm. So I like to simplify things, right? There are all these acronyms change, and sometimes we say wellness, other times we say well-being, and then the social emotional learning or social emotional competency. So remove all of that. Here's the thing. First of all, you are all emotional human beings. So let me just dispel the myth that somehow being emotional is a bad thing. Every human being is emotional, and that is a good thing. That's one. Two, think about us. We're social creatures. Like
Mhm.
we want one of the worst punishments is to have somebody be alone. Think about that. When they figure, what can I do to just like make this person's life miserable? Let me lock them somewhere where they can't see or talk to anyone.
So
We
true.
we don't like that. So we are emotional, we are social. If you put those two things together to live the life you want to live, there are a few competencies. They're the ones that make social emotional learning. Number one, self-awareness.
Mhm.
It starts with that. Like, how can you learn something? How can you improve something if you don't have the awareness?
Right.
So when I think about teaching kindness, you just asked me earlier, how do I practice this? Number one, survey a regular day. A typical day for you looks like what? Literally sit down at night and go play back the movie of your day and just have awareness. When were the times where I felt kindness within me? When were the times where I felt kindness coming out of me towards somebody else? When were the times where I did not feel kindness in me or towards somebody else? Literally just have awareness. But
Mhm.
the key piece in awareness is not having any judgments towards yourself. Have awareness, but don't judge
No
yourself.
judging. Yeah.
So it's okay if it feels like today I was 9 on no kindness and 1 on kindness. That's okay. Because if you start judging yourself, then that's bad news. You're gonna go through this loop of I'm not worthy. We don't want that. So self-awareness is number one.
I like this, keeping like a kindness meter every
Yes.
day.
Yes, yes. I think start with that. So from the self-awareness, then you have to learn how to manage your emotions, right?
Mhm.
So the management of emotion also makes SEL. So Now you know what kind of emotions show up, how often, when, and how consistently or not. How do you manage them? And this is where it has to be individualized.
Right.
Every single person is different. I teach mindfulness, I teach kindness, I teach emotional regulation. So, of course, I'm going to start with we all have breath. So, can you use your breath to manage your emotions as the easiest, most accessible tool possible? And I love using breath. And I'm very aware that not everybody is comfortable sitting down for 2, 3 minutes, closing their eyes and focusing on breathing. That sounds terrible to some people.
Yeah.
So you need to also have the awareness of what works for you. Is it music? Is it a walk? Is it seeing a safe person? Is it coloring? There are so many tools you can use. So self-awareness, then you have the self-management of your emotions. And then you can go into social awareness because from self, you go to others. You can't do anything about other people unless you start with yourself.
True.
But the once you start with yourself, we're social creatures, you need to then be able to comfortably also learn how to read people socially. When is it that you do something that triggers somebody emotionally? And when they come triggered, what are the ways in which you can respond that makes you feel comfortable with yourself and also doesn't trigger them more? So the social awareness. And then you go into the importance of making good decisions and then building strong relationships. So if you were thinking about the tenets of SEL, you have the self-awareness, you have the self-management, then you have the social awareness, then you have making good decisions and building strong relationships with others.
That's amazing. So I wish I had a lot of those when I was growing up.
Me
I wish I
too.
had you teaching me.
I really feel like this is what schools should actually focus on. And the funny thing is, I do these workshops with teachers and teachers, principals, and superintendents, and we ask them the following question: what are the most important skills you believe that children should have by the time they finish school in order to be the best members of society possible, the best
Mhm.
adults possible? What do you think? What comes to your mind? What skill do you think that children, by the time they finish middle school, high school, what skills should they have in order to be productive, fulfilled human beings in our society? What do you think?
Math.
What kind of math? Calculus, pre-calculus? Like a pre-algebra, maybe? Geometry? What level? That's the funny thing. What else? Tell me. What else
Oh,
comes up?
uh, I don't know. I would think English. I mean, I think like that's learning how to read, write.
I'm loving this because you're the first person who's ever answered that question in this way. Everybody else shares things like, I want them to be good listeners. I want them to be more empathetic. I want them to be,
Really,
yeah, I want them to be kind. These are educators.
that's impressive.
I want them to have more self-awareness, educators. And you know what no educator ever says? Math.
Well, I've completely changed my mind about what's going on because like you said, both most educators are focused on you know um, results and scores and not really dealing with the heart.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
so if I focus on if I really want the best human beings on earth to take our country, take our world to a place where we feel proud of who we are, math skills is not it.
no, I mean I feel actually quite hopeful for what you're saying by what you're saying.
Yes, it's like no, I want kids who can grow up to be adults who care about the well-being of others,
Mm,
right? Who see that we have a shared humanity. Just because I look different or I sound different does not mean you get to not care about me. Like I want kids and adults who think about those things. I want us to be productive and effective,
right.
but again, there's a way to do it. So these are the skills that I think we should teach in schools because again, we know that once your brain feels more proficient in with these skills, then of course all the other skills you want to learn are going to come through. I mean, imagine learning math while hungry and not having any food.
Sure.
Imagine having to learn science or English when emotionally dysregulated because something has happened at home or in your neighborhood or in your country where you aren't stable emotionally. You
Right.
can try, but it's not going to be
Well, the basic
as
things in your
effective.
life are not being covered.
Yes. So I think school should be about those skills. And then, of course, you couple that with the important skills that we need. But let me, I mean, if we think about the current days, though, with technology, you can have access to the best math teacher like on earth through
Sure.
YouTube.
Sure.
That is
Sure.
not what you need your teacher for, right? What are the things that other human beings can teach you? That's what I think we should focus on. It's not science, it's not philosophy. Of course, if you want to be a doctor or an engineer, pursue that. But this the basic foundation of education to me is almost all accessible online now, and everybody's stuck on their phones anyway.
Right.
So what is it that we can leverage from human being to human being? And it's those skills. It is empathy, it is kindness, it is mindfulness, it is gratitude. And that's what I think we should focus on teaching kids.
So, that being said, with everything you've learned and everything you've taught, so how do you shape that with the way you lead Kindness Matters? And tell us about the organization a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful and wonderful organization.
Thank you. So we're a nonprofit based out here in South Florida, but we're global. I have to say it always because we have programming right now in Cameroon. We have some work that we do in Dominican Republic, in Costa Rica, in Spain very soon
Mm.
as well. So we're all over the place. But it's what the name is. Kindness matters. We know that kindness is a skill, and we teach that skill. We know that it's not to be assumed that everyone knows how to manipulate and play with kindness. So we teach it. That's one. Number two is that we teach emotional regulation because, like I told you, if your emotions aren't regulated, you aren't able to show up as the best version of yourself. So that's key to us. And at the foundation, we try to practice what we preach. How can we take these same principles? Because, by the way, if I believe that that's what school needs, I believe that's what businesses need, and that's what corporations and nonprofits need as well.
Yes.
So we try to lead by example and remind ourselves that when we start every single meeting, can we take 5 minutes, right, to check in with each other, right? We call it connection before content. So how can we connect first? No matter how pressing the matters are that we have as a business, we connect first. And when we can, also try to close with some gratitude because
Yeah.
having that sandwich allows us to be more productive with the meat of the sandwich.
I believe very strongly in that because when I was CEO, I was running a healthcare business, and everybody was focused on making money. It was all about succeeding in your own personal space, getting promoted, and I changed the whole purpose of it because I knew that focusing on money wasn't the goal, right? It's about how we relate to each other and how we treat each other, and that was my sort of epiphany around kindness and using kindness in scenarios like that. And it was very difficult because some people are like dead set on the way they think and the way they try to, obviously, money's important because you have to support your family.
Yeah.
But no, I'm all around that. I'd love you to actually come maybe and teach my kids some of that too, because I have 4 boys. They're teenage years.
What I was gonna say, what ages?
Yeah, they're between the ages of 12 and 16.
Ooh.
So it's like prime.
that is prime because it takes until age 25 or 26 for the part of your brain in charge of emotional regulation and like impulse control and critical thinking.
Right.
At 26 for it to be fully formed. So that age is like prime for like trying everything else.
I've tried my best, but I feel like sometimes it's like they don't want to listen to me
Well,
anymore.
that's
They have to
classic,
listen to
though,
someone
right?
else, right?
Somebody else. In fact, I could come say that to them exactly what you tell them every day. And then they may be like, wow, that sounds so interesting. And yet you've told them the same thing so many times. So sometimes it just takes somebody else. And let's talk about some science here. So if you think about evolution, right? At that age, your boys would already be on their own in their own tribes.
Mm.
They would not be under your roof anymore.
Wow.
Think about it. Like 2,000 years ago, like an 18-year, a 17-year-old,
Right.
they are their own man. Like maybe even leading a tribe, like leading like wars and like this is like they're their own
Right.
person. So what happens around that age in the brain is that the brain really, really, really wants peers validation,
Mm.
not adult validation.
Mm-hmm.
That's one, right? So their peers are a lot more important and interesting than you are right now, right? That's
Mm.
just natural. But the other thing is because you're the safe adult, it's easier for the brain of somebody that age to test and push the boundaries with you. Because what are you gonna do? You're their dad.
Right.
It's safe. They get to practice reasoning and seeing nuances. That's
Mhm.
why if you have a rule such as we don't use our cell phones as we eat dinner, and then next Tuesday they see you with your cell phone,
Right.
they go, "Hey, Dad, just have to ask. Let's have a question here." They're going to
Sure.
push your boundaries, and you may say, "Why are you being so rude? Like you wouldn't be that rude to a stranger." Yes, they wouldn't because that's a stranger who's not safe. And sometimes somebody else's presence, who's not their father, who's not their teacher or their
Mhm.
mom, has something different. And even if they say the same thing, you may land differently. So,
Mhm.
to all those parents who have felt that way, um, don't take it personally. In fact, if your teenager is pushing your buttons, it just means their brain is healthy.
Yeah, I was. It's so right. I was actually driving this my kids to school this morning. I drive them every morning to school, and it's so funny because we were talking about hockey right
Mhm.
here with the Florida Panthers, and I don't know what it feels like every time I say something. One particular son always has to counter what I say. Can't ever agree with me ever.
I love it. I love it. That was me. That was me.
Right?
I was a contrarian, man. Like anything I heard is like, what's the counter argument? And it's practice.
Yeah.
It's just practicing that skill, and it's annoying to the adults,
Right,
but
and
it's
I realize
practice.
it's important for him to do that in life because you can't just agree with everybody all the time.
Exactly.
Right.
And the stakes are low when you're with the safe adults.
Yeah.
So, and this is not premeditated, right? It's not like they brainstormed how to do that to you. No, it just happens. They would push, they should push, because with you, they can practice how to do that, which is a good skill without any serious consequence. And then they develop the sharp skills of then being able to discuss and argue and disagree when needed with other people in society.
Mhm. And what do you think? We spoke about this a little earlier. Um, why do you think kindness is so undervalued in today's world?
So it touches on what you mentioned, right? So you were a CEO, and you observe yourself that in the industry, the goal and the focus was on making money. And money is important, as we all know. But we live in a world that has overemphasized the importance of money and has sold us the vision and the dream that the way to a fulfilled life is as much money as possible, right? It's, in fact, it is infinite. There's no actual amount of money because everybody you know, at no matter how much money they make, they want more.
Right, and also there are billionaires who just have a horrible life, like who just
They're
don't not live
miserable.
together, miserable. Exactly.
Exactly. So we know that, but that's where we live as a society. And so if you push making money, then by default, you push what we call here just like productivity. And productivity here means doing as much as possible for the job that's going to give you and your company more money. So one layer down below that is therefore you should always be working.
Mhm.
Okay, one layer before that is you should always be busy. The layer before is you should not even sleep. I've seen people who are bragging about how little sleep they get. It's like, oh, I only slept 4 hours. Like, oh, you slept 4 hours? I slept three. And they share that with as a badge of honor. So it's to the point that you feel bad if you're not busy. Like when I was a teacher, when I was a student service coordinator at a private school, I would have these kids who were so anxious about all these exams. I would coach them, mentor them, come up with a plan. And when everything was okay, they would freak out and have anxiety because they were not stressed. Like, what's going on? Why am I not worried?
Mhm.
Imagine that. You're so worried, and we take care of the reasons why you're worried. And once you're no longer worried, now you worry that you're not worried. I mean, this
It's
is
like
like,
backwards.
yes, like it's to that point. And I feel that sometimes I'm sitting at home just like not doing much, and I start to wonder, something seems a little off here. Why am I not doing something? So I'll say all
Mhm.
that to say that in a society where this is what we prioritize, kindness comes as this What is this soft, nice to have
Mhm.
thing that that you're talking about? It's this thing that deep inside we all have, we all know, and yet that is not what's rewarded. You reward the shark. Why do we call it the shark tank? Right?
Right.
What about a kindness tank? Right? It's what drives is you're a shark who goes after it and you produce and you make money.
Right.
And then kindness is like, eh,
Right. That's
that's
right.
that's the society we live in. Although you and I know that elevating kindness can also lead to productivity and good results, but with human beings who are healthier and happier.
Right. It's a lot of effort to try to get them there. Because a lot of people are very stubborn in the way, I mean, at least in my generation back then, because that was when people were really focused on capitalism and making money and getting to a better place, um, but stepping over other people in order to do it.
Yes.
And and when I was in business and I became CEO, I was actually working with my father at the beginning,
Mhm.
and he'd think I was crazy for adding kindness into my everyday sort of interaction
Yeah.
with business people, looking like I was weak, like when in negotiating,
Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't that way. It was just that I was just trying to take a different angle to get to the heart of the matter of things, to get to know people, what their goals are, and to try to work together to fulfill both of our goals.
Yes, like why don't we just have everybody win somehow? And also it's
Right.
about what you reward. So those who are listening, if you are a teacher or a parent or a CEO or a business leader, it's all about what you reward. If you have a team of 5 people and the one who produces the most brings the most money is the biggest jerk, selfish human being that you know. But because they're bringing the most money, you reward them. Well, guess what? You are creating a culture where you encourage that kind of behavior. It's that simple,
Yeah.
right? So kindness becomes weakness when you don't reward kindness, right? If you reward quote unquote result over everything, including being a good human being, then you have your culture. So what we should do is shift things. We still have our results that we want, but we care about how we get to the results.
Right.
Like, can you get to the same results by treating folks and yourself with kindness? Because you see the burnout from teachers to CEOs to like nurses to everyone. Like nobody's doing okay. Like everybody works,
Yeah.
and then burn out. So that formula doesn't work. We know it. So why don't we just try something a little different and sprinkle some kindness into the culture and add that as an actual value, right? In addition to the other ones, add that as an actual value and see, because the first formula has not worked. Because we have so many depressed and sad people
Yes.
because of that. So at least let's give a shot to something new. Kindness.
Yes. That's beautiful. And I think a lot of the people who are struggling today, especially people who are finding themselves homeless, I mean, it's all a result of that as well. Um, and you've traveled all over the world. You've taught this in businesses and in schools.
Mm.
So do you see that there's like there are similarities in different countries, or is it unique to the U.S. or you know how is the human emotional connection across cultures that you see?
Yeah, it's a good question. And right, the answer is because when I got into this work, like I told you, had the fascination for how the brain works and how emotions work. And the line I used to say was, my conclusion has been that a brain is a brain is a brain is a brain, which means a human being is a human being is a human being. I'm from Cameroon, like I said, right? West Africa. I now live
Great
in
soccer team.
huh? Oh yeah, oh that you know what's up. I love that. So I live in South Florida. I have done this work in Jordan, in Romania, in Israel, in Ukraine, like all over the place. And I'm telling you, people want the same thing. They want to live a life where they can feel like their basic needs are met, they have emotional safety, and they can see their children grow to
Mhm.
be the kind of adults who also have emotional safety and don't need much. That's it. I'm telling you, That's it. When I was first going to Jordan, everybody was, "Are you going to the Middle East?" Like the Middle East. There's just this. We just have these labels
Hmm.
and associations to what that's supposed to mean. It's people
Right.
that care about the same things that you and I care
Right.
about.
And for the most part, the people get along, I
They
think,
do.
overall. It's
They really do. They really do. And someone like me, who's a little clueless sometimes about the divisions that people have amongst themselves. I really am clueless. I just see people, right? So I would often find myself in places where perhaps I'm not supposed to be. Or if I had known about like a label of somebody, I wouldn't have gone, but I just don't know. I don't care about
Mhm.
those things. And I find myself just talking to people who get along. And later on, I realized, oh, but did you know that so and so were not? I did not know. I didn't see it because all I saw were people who were actually mostly getting along. Again, I'm not saying that we don't have any issues or big disagreements or conflicts. We have them. But from my experience, most people most people want those same things, right? So that makes me want to share about um, the four guiding beliefs that we have at Kindness Matters, right? Because we do work with teachers, with students, with parents, with leaders, everybody. And here are the four guiding beliefs that kind of govern who we are. Number one is that kindness is an infinite resource. Like the more you give it, the more it grows. It actually multiplies.
Right.
If I help you, and I'm kind towards you, I feel good, you feel good, and then the person who's watching feels good too. And we have it for free, infinite. Number two, actions matter. Like the simplest action, eye contact with someone, shaking somebody's hand, asking them how they're doing, actually mean it and hold space for them to truly answer that can save somebody's life. And don't wait for somebody else or the government or a big entity or
Mhm.
your job or your boss to make you do something or ask you to do something. Take the action yourself right now. The third one is the one I just talked about, capacity for good. I really believe that all human beings are born with the capacity for good within them, all of them.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of doing the work to access it as much as and as often as possible. And the fourth guiding belief is shared humanity. And I open with that, right? I can be of a different race, different culture, different language, but it doesn't change the thing to the fact that as fellow human beings, our humanity is tied somehow. And we all need to believe that and lead from that perspective if we hope to have a world that is a little kinder.
That's exactly what we talk about on the podcast here is, we're really all one in the end. And people have to just start realizing that there's a way that we can connect with each other through kindness and through gratitude. And gratitude's a big one too. I mean, when we talk about peace and finding peace within ourselves, we need to have inner peace before we can share that peace with other people.
Mhm.
Um, why is inner peace so important before we can spread that peace to other people?
I just had, as you asked the question, just had this visualization of imagine having even a bottle of water or a bottle of soda, anything, a bottle with some liquid and it's transparent. If you shake the bottle, right? Imagine that the bottle is you. You shake the bottle and just watch all the turmoil inside.
Mhm.
That's not peaceful. Like it's like a blizzard in there or a hurricane in there. If you want to give while you have that blizzard inside, what do you think you're gonna give? More blizzard, right? It is that simple for me. So you take if you have a bottle, if you're listening, take a water bottle, whatever you have, shake it and watch it, and then just watch it settle.
Mhm.
Once it's peaceful, then you can pass it on, right? It's like having a candle that's lit. The flame is kind of struggling in the wind. Like you don't worry about passing on the flame because it's still struggling. Find a way to stabilize it.
Mhm.
Once the flame on the candle is stable, then take the next candle and pass on the flame. It's as simple as that as human beings. It's the same thing. You can only give what you have. You can't pass on what you don't have internally. So that's why you start with inner peace. That's why you start with kindness towards yourself before others in the world.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a great example.
Thank you.
And so, how can families teach kindness to each other at home?
So I think about the importance of traditions. I live by routines. I think that when you want to make something a part of who you are, it has to include routines. So when I think about families, I think routines as well. Something as simple as if you have meals together, like if you do, you can decide that every night you're going to have a gratitude practice as a family, connected to something you're already doing, like eating. Because again, if you add something extra, it feels like a chore in the beginning. So connect to something that's already happening, like food. And as a family, you can have a very simple exercise. Teach your kids and your partners, how can we think about all the people who had to play a role for this meal right here to exist?
Right.
That's a long list.
It is.
It's a really, really, really long list. And
Yeah.
just send a thought of gratitude to one, few, or all those people. Take
Right.
your time, right? From, yes, maybe the person who cooked the meal. That's just the beginning.
Or pick the food from the
That's
ground
what I'm
or
saying.
yeah.
Go all
The
the
whole
way.
process.
Like, who planted it?
Yeah.
Like, how did it just get to the grocery store? If it was delivered, who delivered? I mean, there's so
So many
many.
people who touch that
Yes, and
that
that's just from
process.
one meal. So imagine something like that. Because people think that gratitude should be something you focus on when something big happens to you, a big promotion, you start making a lot of money. No, it's the simplest things. And to all the adults listening, you and your actions are the biggest teachers that your kids have. Not you and your words, you and your actions,
Hmm.
you and your practices.
Yeah.
So if they see you practice gratitude and kindness, they will learn even without knowing it. But make it a routine, make it a family thing,
Yeah.
as well as modeling on your own.
So important. I practice a little bit of that as well. Sometimes we have a WhatsApp chat, a gratitude chat
Mhm.
where we talk about each day who we're grateful for. I would love to do the dinner thing, but I'm the one who cooks for the family, so I'm gonna take it very personal.
Hey, you got to start somewhere.
Usually, when no one says anything, it means they're enjoying it.
Hey, take it where you get it. See, that's a sign of gratitude too.
Right.
But I love the idea of a chat.
Yeah.
And I do this exercise with people, which is always very interesting. And those who are listening right now, you can do it, right? If you are listening right now, just take your cell phone, go to your phone book, and look at all your contacts. Just don't think about it. Just scroll, and then randomly stop. The name you just stopped at, don't change it. That name, text that person right now.
Mm,
One thing you appreciate about them. Just do it.
that's tremendous.
Just do it right now. Anybody can do it. Just do it right now, and you'll see. And when I say you see a lot of things. The goal is to get to a place where we know that you and your brain receive those happy chemicals yourself. It's called the helper's high. Like when you help
Right.
somebody, it's like you get high on something because you feel so good about helping somebody else.
Mhm.
That's good. Then when they receive it, they also feel really good. But sometimes, because of our current society, people will hear me say that and they will hesitate to text the person. They will start thinking, well, what are they going to think? Like, why would I do that? That's a little weird. And then if they can push themselves to do it, sometimes the second you send that text, the person calls you like, what's going on? Are you okay? What's wrong?
That's true.
What happened? Why? It's because we're not used to it. I had students from Lynn University do it a couple of weeks ago, and same thing happened. Like friends were texting back, "Are you okay?" or "What's happening?"
Right.
It's like we're only used to hearing those good things when there's something happening,
Mhm.
or when you have one of those sandwiches where, like, I'm going to tell you something nice so I can tell you something bad. In fact, let's talk about business for a little bit. If you're a leader or a teacher, this whole idea of a feedback sandwich where you have some uncomfortable news to share and you were coached to open with something nice
Positive.
and then do the thing in the middle and then close with something nice. It doesn't work. Stop. Everybody knows now, right? When you call somebody in your office,
Right. Yeah.
they already know. And then you open with some nice comments about, you've been doing so great here. They're not even hearing you. They're just waiting for the moment. And they're right, because guess what? The moment is coming. And then sure enough, boom, you drop the brick on their
Right.
toes.
because they see the pattern.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then as they're still feeling the pain of that brick on their toes, you close it. But we do really appreciate you being here. It's like, stop doing that.
Mhm.
Normalize having uncomfortable conversations. It is what it is. Call it what it is and have it with kindness, but have it. And when you want to practice something kind and give a compliment, just do that.
Mhm.
Don't contaminate the, the compliments with your bad news, because what you're doing is you're having folks now expect the bad news when you start with something good.
Right.
So that's why I love like a drive-by compliment. I give it to you and I'm gone. I'm not gonna sit around to wait, because then people, it's so awkward, right? You would tell somebody, um, I love your glasses. You're like, oh no, but they're so cheap. Why do you have to cheapen the compliment? You look good today. I didn't even do any makeup. Why? Just don't do that. Or I love your sweater. Oh, I like your shoes too. Oh, give it, leave. And people work on also receiving the compliment,
Yeah.
because we're not good at that either. So this is, it sounds simple, but given the current state of our society and our world, it is very difficult to give compliments and very difficult to receive
Mm.
compliments. So as hard as a person is working on authentically sharing what they appreciate about you, as hard as you're working to just receive it,
Right.
don't add a but clause to accepting the compliment. Take it in and enjoy it because
And
you
accept
deserve
it.
it.
Accept it.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's the one thing I find is that people just can't accept that the compliment. They can't accept the good things coming to them.
Yes.
It's like we're always expecting the negative first.
Yes. Yes. And that there's at least two reasons for that. Number one is just brain science. Right? Your brain has a negativity bias. It is wired to look for the things that are not working. Look for the bad news so you can protect yourself from it. That's normal for evolution.
Right.
But the other thing, though, is that we have overemphasized the bad news and we have normalized the bad news over the good news. Like I said earlier, if you watch the news, nine stories out of 10 are negative. If you
Mhm.
scroll through your social media, typically 9 stories or posts out of 10 are negative. So we have conditioned ourselves to be that way. And then here's something else. We're more, believe it or not, we're more comfortable sharing bad news, because when I was a teacher, the first time you call a parent, this is hilarious. If you're a teacher, try this. Make your first 3 phone calls to the parents about something positive about their student, their child. They're gonna lose their mind. Because when you call them, hey, this is Mr. Balla, I was just calling to talk about John. What did he do? Oh yeah, he's actually just doing great. I just appreciate how calm he is, and he's able to be a leader in class, and the others follow him. I appreciate having him in class every single day. I really, really want to let you know that he's doing great. You're doing a good job. And they're like, whoa. Anything else? No, that's it. Drive by. I'm gone. They're shocked. Then they expect, okay, maybe it's a technique this new teacher learned somewhere. I know the next call is going to be a negative one. Second call, hey, what's going on? Great. They're shocked. Make it that way. So normalize sharing positive news as well. Because if we do that, then the person is not going to expect something negative, or they won't be shocked when you send them a text of gratitude, because we normalize it. And that's what I'm hoping we can do.
Mm. That's good words. Very encouraging. Um, you know, going back to kindness matters for a second, what you're doing there. Um, can you share with us a powerful story in your experience with the organization and what impact you've seen the kindness in action with, you know, is it a one by one kind of thing, or do you see like communities being able to come together to create a culture of compassion?
It's communities, right? So I have a couple examples. So at a typical school that has a kindness club, not only do they have 10 different topics that they focus on each month, like awareness and gratitude and optimism, all of that, but they also work on the project together, the kindness project. Imagine seeing a kindness club or an entire student body spending an hour writing kindness notes to the adults who take care of them on campus. And I'm talking about the janitor, the cook, the person who cuts the grass. I mean, I've seen such projects, and to see kids so young dedicating time to express, and they have very thoughtful things to say about these adults, right? So the adults, we have to create the space for them to do this, but they will do it. And
Mhm.
I've seen hundreds of students spend hours pouring their hearts to express how grateful they are of the adults around them and then of each other.
Wow.
So that's huge for me. And then we have it's a high school student, Gavin. Now he's been in the kindness clubs for since he was in the middle school, I believe, and he just launched a nonprofit called T1D, or type 1 diabetes,
Mm.
because he's an athlete who lives with diabetes, and he wants to encourage kids his age who have type 1 diabetes to continue to be healthy and active, because he's played sports, a very like physically strong and active guy. And there's something beautiful about seeing a young kid who loves exercise and movement and sports not let themselves be defined by diabetes, and going forward and creating a foundation with the support of their parents and the community to invite other people their age to live a healthy, fulfilled life despite having such a diagnosis. I mean, that's just powerful,
That's
man.
huge. That's so huge. It takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to just step out that little line, like you said, with just even texting someone.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what it is. We have this wall within ourselves that just stops us from doing these things. You just have to break through the wall and just let go of things. It's and look what happens. You can start an organization. You can do whatever you want. Really,
Yep.
that's
Every
the
action
power of
matters.
kindness. Does that? And compassion and love,
Mhm.
gratitude. Um, so, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges emotional challenges people face today?
I think the biggest one is probably not feeling like they're worthy, because we all walk around assuming that folks are judging us and that they are thinking things about us that aren't good or positive. And that's perhaps true, but the truth really is most people don't think that they are worthy themselves. It starts with that. And that's why I love your emphasis on self-love. And that's why we start with kindness towards self. So most people, the voice in their head, if you think about all the thoughts that you go through
Mm.
in one day, thousands of them, right? I think more than 70% of them are negative and repetitive. And for most people, when they think about that voice, it's a voice that's not saying nice things to them about them. So essentially, imagine this: we all are telling ourselves a story about our lives.
Mm.
I think for most people, the stories that we are telling ourselves about ourselves is a story where we're not good enough, we're not worthy. And I think that's the foundation of most of the emotional challenges that we have.
And it comes at an early age too, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and,
Most of
and
that.
it comes at a very young age, and unfortunately, like I said, the young ones learn from the older ones. So when they see the older ones do
Yeah.
it, criticize themselves, call themselves names, it reinforces it, and then now you have the competition. I mean, the comparing.
Yeah.
You start to, like, you always look left and right to see what's not working in your life and how it's working in somebody else's life, and then it just confirms your story about yourself and your life and how unworthy you are, because it starts with that. If I can raise your level of self-worth right now, then it impacts how you view everything else, right? You don't really see things based on what they are. You see things based on who you are.
And how do you do that with kids? How do you get them to raise themselves up?
So you teach them that their worth has nothing to do with all these external validators. Let's start with the most important ones that most adults don't think about: school, You teach them that the grades that they have in school have nothing to do with their worth. It starts there. Because if by default and without thinking about it, you've taught your child that when they have a good grade, good boy, good girl, getting
Sure.
ice cream and
I'm
brownies
proud of
tonight, I'm
you.
proud of you. When they get a C, well, you could have, maybe I'm going to keep the brownie in the fridge tonight. When they get an F, oh, like, what brownie are you asking for? Those don't exist for your kind. Think about it. That's the message that we've sent.
Sure.
So that is one way of looking at things. It gets worse. Then they learn that the external validation they get from people is what defines their worth. What's next? Their friends' opinions of them.
Mm. And there's a lot of that there,
That's a lot.
especially with social media.
That's a lot. Oh, now with the cool ones, they didn't invite me to a party. They say something nice, something unkind about my hair, their self worth. Then you add social media. And social media is worse because it's not even your friends,
Mhm.
it's just people.
Just random people.
Just people. So how you teach it is teach them that self-worth and reinforce that worth as you are. Just because by virtue of being a human being, my son, my daughter, you are worthy. And reinforce that from the youngest age possible. That way, when they lose the social validation that maybe they had, their self-worth doesn't crumble at the same time.
Right. So what gives you the most hope about the future when it comes to compassion in society, where we're headed?
What's giving me hope is the work that we do at Kindness Matters and
Amen.
kids.
Amen.
That's what it is, right? So we are every single day we're getting a new school signing up to get us to come work with their kids, their teachers, their parents, their school leaders. And I feel very hopeful about that because for every single school that we impact, it is hundreds of students,
Mhm.
right? Hundreds of teachers. And they go home and hopefully share the message. I really, really believe that the youth is going to change the world and improve it. And so the fact that in addition to the typical things you learn in schools, schools are now opening their doors to kindness, through kindness matters, that gives me hope.
Excellent. Um, so what is the long-term vision of Kindness Matters?
Change the world, man.
I love it.
Kindness is a global movement. We want to have a presence on every single continent. And I know we can do it. And it is not because we want folks to feel like they need us. It's just that kindness is within everyone. We just want folks to do the work to remove the fog that hides that kindness so they can remember that the kindness was always there. And because we have experience teaching it in a technical way and integrating it into schools, it's less threatening to educators. And so our goal, the vision, is to touch every continent and have different chapters that start all around the world that they can lead themselves, right? Because we aren't the ones to come lead your chapter in your country, in your local community. Just give you the tools that we have, share our experience, but then you go into your own schools, your own communities, and teach kindness.
And so how can people get involved in spreading this word? How can our listeners, people watching, how can they get involved and support your mission?
Well, first thing that's coming up is on March 7th, we have a Kindness Matters Day of Service. Again, March 7th, Kindness Matters Day of Service. It's in partnership with the Boca Museum. And we're going to have a day where we come together at Boca Museum and have a couple activities and activations there together. And then we go volunteer. We just go do something kind for somebody else. We have half a day. So please show up.
I'll be there.
Awesome. So the link is going live today. So by the time this drops, it'll be there. And also kindnessmatters365.com, .org. Go to our website, go on social media, KM365 on Instagram and on Facebook. Follow us. And a little more technical, if you want, you can volunteer with us. If you need hours or just wants to volunteer,
That's great.
come to us. We can help. We can use the help. And donate. Always we open with money, right? It is not what drives everything, but it's necessary. And in order for us to do our jobs, our work, we need funds because we never want a school or a community to not have access to our programs because they can't afford it. So we're raising funds as well. So donate and just share the world, the word about the importance of kindness. And I think more importantly, just treat yourself with kindness.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dido. Thank you for sharing your heart and your wisdom and your incredible work spreading kindness across the world. Um, we'll make sure to leave the links in the description
Mhm.
so they can connect with everything in regards to your organization. And thank you to everyone for listening. This is Peace Love Nation. Rez, your host. Please subscribe to the channel, support us, come to our website, peacelovenation.com, get some merch. You should become a member. And um, I just want to say to everyone, we love you and do everything you can to follow this organization because they're amazing. Thank you very much, Tito.
Right on.
Take care.
Mhm.
Yes, 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 yes.